Oh, hi. Welcome to Club Chad. Sorry, just finished up this BuzzFeed personality quiz. Which video game character are you? You know, they only have the top researchers at BuzzFeed, so the quizzes are never wrong. Got a 99.99% success rate. Really hoping that I can get a Mario, maybe even a Sonic. But, you know, honestly, on some mornings, I feel a little bit more like Shadow. And we just gotta clip submit and wait for the results. Well, I'm Crash. I'm Crash Bandicoot. I knew it would always come to this. You stuck around. There's no reason to hide it anymore. There's no reason to hide any of it anymore. Oh, God. I knew I couldn't outrun my past. Besides, how could I outrun anything? I'm not a Sonic. I'm a Crash Bandicoot. I always have been. Back in the day, I was the weird kid. Mostly because I carried around Crash Bandicoot doll everywhere. So whenever the kids would get together to play video game characters on the playground, I would always play as. And so they started calling me Chrash Bidnercoot. And it felt good, because I love the original games.
So, it all started in California in 1994, before Crash was even a little bitty coot. These two guys, Andy Gavin, Jason Rubin, co-founders of video game developer Naughty Dog. The developer, who would go on to make games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, got a job with Universal Interactive. You know, like Universal Studios, but making video games. They had an official office in the actual movie lot underneath the Warner Brothers water tower where the Animaniacs live. Anyway, Universal wanted Andy and Jason to develop a character-focused platformer game for the up-and-coming Sony PlayStation, as a strange new era of 3D gaming loomed over the horizon. Universal's desire combined nicely with Andy and Jason's, who both wanted to make a game about Sonic's ass, and who wouldn't? Thus, early development on Sonic's Ass project began. Now, since Crash was intended to be a 3D game, as opposed to a 2D side-scroller like Sonic was at the time, by Sonic's Ass, the guys were referring to the camera being placed behind the main character rather than on their side, so that when the character would run forward, instead of their 3/4 profile, the player would be looking at their backside, i.e. their ass. As the development team grew, the body that would eventually feature Sonic's ass was created. He may have started out as Willy the Wombat, and Sony was clear that it did not intend for this new character to become PlayStation's mascot. But you know what they say, you can't keep a good Bandicoot down. And this particular Bandicoot would soon come to be called Crash Bandicoot. And the game that would feature him would also soon come to be called Crash Bandicoot. And that game was Crash Bandicoot, obviously. Crash rang the bell when the game appeared alongside Mario 64 at E3 1996, and he continued to invade hearts and minds through a series of Crash commercials challenging Plumber Boy,
Mustache Man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Seemingly, by coincidence, a new mascot was born out of necessity to challenge both Mario and Sonic alike.
As the years went on, people forgot about Crash, and in turn, they forgot about me. He couldn't keep up with the Sonics, reach the heights of Mario. And like him, I had outlived my usefulness. only exists to be forgotten. There hasn't been a Crash game in 7 years. He's best left in gaming's past. And so am I. What have I got? The fuck was that? Alright, who wants to die? I'm not afraid to die! It's Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy. Done on the PlayStation 4 for a new era? Crash is back. I can finally be Trash again. Oh, I'm so excited. Gonna have to slip into something a little more appropriate. Trash is back, baby! Ow! Hey, look, everybody, it's Aku Aku, right from the game. Ooga booga. Oh, that's what he says. Hey, how your family doing? You still got that brave, crazy brother? Ooga booga. Oh, he's up to no good. Always fighting him off. No, this feels kind of racist. I've been hit. Oh, that's another thing he says. It's Aku Aku, everybody. Hey everybody, it's rare Wumpa fruit, just like in the game. Wumpas are 5 words to say. Sorry, got a little ahead of myself. Now, let's see if the new old Crash is any good.
The Insane Trilogy intro sequence is really not what you would expect from an original PlayStation remake in 2017, which is to say that it's completely unskippable, lengthy, followed by some ridiculously long load times. Again, for an original PlayStation remake in 2017. Now, once you're finally able to start up one of the games, the load times are actually much quicker, and up to the current standard. But the entire preceding setup and the load times make me feel like I'm booting up The Witcher 3, and you can skip those intros because at least that game came out in 2015! Our first game opens up with this cutscene. Feels like it's straight out of a Looney Tunes-esque fever dream. There's a maniacal villain, a monstrous henchman, and even a damsel in distress shows up at the end. We also see these experimental animals in cages poking fun at the various concepts for Crash, as well as some other mascot characters. Then Crash gets rejected from the vortex. I mean, honestly, what does that even mean? But anyway, he escapes into the plotless arcade game that is Crash Bandicoot. Few games achieve this level of, here, you figure out how this works. Lack of tutorial and hand-holding quite like the start of the original Crash. Do I jump on these crates, or do I smash them? Does it matter if I walk over the items, or what if I spin on them, attack them? What do these boxes and fruit even mean? All of your questions may eventually be answered as you blindly progress through this platform, slowly realizing how ignorant you were at this game's start. And then there's the hog levels. Observe how Crash turns to the camera and gives a thumbs up before jumping onto the hog and riding it. Now let's take a moment to consider exactly what Crash is trying to express with this gesture. Approval? Excitement? Reassurance? Well, depending on how proficient you are at side strafing and jumping on a hog, you'll probably have a few more chances to figure it out as Crash gives his thumbs up every single time. Just when you thought there was a god. Well, that's probably taking it too far. However, this stage alone does have Inception levels of self-doubt and futility. Why did I get this game? Am I bad at Crash Bandicoot? Am I bad at video games, period? Not to worry, friends and countrymen. Naughty Dog hates all of us alike, and this is how you're supposed to feel. Taking place right after one of the easiest bosses I've ever faced, and right before you proceed from the first world to the second, this hardest level encountered yet occurs at prime rage quit timing. And speaking of, Moving on to Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. Major spoilers ahead, Crash lives to beat the first game, and Neo Cortex is thwarted. But then Neo Cortex finds these crystals in a cavern, which is good for him, I guess. Jump ahead a year, and the science dude reappears to enlist the help from the only one on Earth who will lend aid. And major spoilers again, it's Crash. Of course it is. Why wouldn't the hero from the first game want to help the arch nemesis that he defeated a year ago? I mean, sure, Cortex lies and said he's turned over a new leaf to manipulate Crash into helping him destroy the world. But the player already knows from the beginning that he's not going to do that. So your primary objective, for a good percentage of the game, is to help the bad guy stop you. Now, I know the argument could be made that's not stupid writing, and that Crash is just a stupid character. And that's true, Crash is a stupid character. But it's also kind of stupid writing, given that the game doesn't even attempt to hide Cortex's true intentions. Then again, how could they? Is there any doubt in your mind, just from looking at this dude, that he wants the absolute worst for anyone who isn't him? Crash included. Which is why Crash had to stop him a year ago. But now he's more than happy to help him, even though he already... Forget it. The point is, I suppose, if you're playing Crash Bandicoot for its plot, you're doing it wrong. It's all about the platforming. Although considering this game was originally released only a year after the first, not a whole lot has changed. The core gameplay concept remains the same. You run, jump, spin, collect things, and stuff happens. If you like Crash 1, you're pretty much set up for more of the same in Crash 2, with a few notable improvements. One of which is a change in Crash's moveset, sliding. Doesn't do a whole lot by itself. However, much like Mario's crouch move, if Crash jumps while sliding, he performs a long jump. As far as I'm aware, this move is not explicitly explained anywhere in the game. Much like the first one, you just have to figure it out. It's the only way to complete the first level's Blue Gem challenge, Be Kind to the Boxes. I just wish I knew about that move before I did levels like this. Without the long jump, you literally have to leap with Crash's feet hanging off the edge of this platform, or you won't make it. Gotta say though, my favorite new addition has to be the Warp Room, the revamped level select hub. You can run around and the camera follows you, you can break the 180-degree rule and have the camera whip around as you walk out of frame, you can go up and down the center as an elevator, and you can take your frustrations out on this cute little polar bear. Duh, you can jump on it and squish it down flat, and it makes a little noise. And it gives you extra lives, oh my god! The level itself is pretty good too. Crash once again turns to the camera and gives a thumbs up as he jumps on this innocent polar bear running for its life. Practice makes perfect, and this one gaming formula Naughty Dog aged like a fine wine with these cute animal ride levels. They kept the same gameplay concept from the first Crash, but replaced the mascot with a cuter, more lovable one. The reason this and the Warp Hub are some of my favorite features is because they're improved from the first game, but as time went on, Naughty Dog wouldn't settle for just improved. Bam! Crash 3 warped, struck like a satellite entering the Earth's atmosphere. And unlike a satellite entering the Earth's atmosphere, the plot's not hot garbage. After the destruction of his space station at the end of Crash 2, Cortex teams up with his new creatively named characters like Aku Aku's evil twin, Uka Uka, and Dr. Nefarious Tropy, who's created a time-twisting machine that the villain uses to travel throughout various time periods and settings, and it's up to Aku Aku, Crash, and Coco to try to stop them, by also traveling through various time periods and settings. Okay, I wouldn't nominate it for any awards, but the premise is clearly explained in the opening and the characters' motives are consistent. The goal also isn't to help your arch enemy try to blow up the world for almost the entire game. It's a definite upgrade in writing from the first two, the first of many upgrades that feature in Crash 3, which is a considerably superior game than its predecessors across the board. The first level alone is really distinctive. This is not just a random forest or jungle, it's a muddy, medieval street filled with frogs. To me, the premise of the game taking place in fragments of time just adds that much more stage diversity than its previous entries. Gameplay is still the same, still fun, and perhaps somewhat easier this go-around. Even the main hub takes the same concept as this predecessor's game and adds more. Holy crap, when did I start playing Donkey Kong Country? This is what I'm talking about! The first two games put an emphasis on replayability and achievements, but the third game retains those elements while adding more bells and whistles to that initial experience, potentially at the cost of overall difficulty. Well, if insane difficulty is what I need to give up in order to get underwater torpedoes, sign me up. And it's the ride level again! This time, Naughty Dog goes for broke on the cuteness factor, dropping Crash for Coco, and the baby polar bear for a baby tiger. And man, if that trade doesn't pay off in dividends! This level is so much fun, and it's what many of us remember from Crash 3, which comes as no surprise, as there are extra lives everywhere, branching paths, and the whole experience is only somewhat challenging, greatly reducing the rage quit-inducing tedium of try, then try again, then try again, then try again gameplay that was featured so prominently in Crash 1 and 2. I haven't said much about the chase level so far, and as we all probably remember, Crash typically runs from a boulder dating back to the very first game. In Crash 3, that boulder is a dinosaur. I only would have loved it more as a kid if that dinosaur was a train, or even better, a dino train. Aside from those damn lava pits and my lack of knowing how to slide jump, this level's pretty solid too. Y'all remember Wave Race? Well, it's here in Crash 3, and it's better than ever. Okay, it's just one level, but the first world alone has so many different stages, it really keeps you on your toes of not knowing what to expect. I mean, there's 2 water levels, one above water and one below. Didn't see that one coming. This boss really caps off the first world with difficulty in just the right place. Instead of the extreme, often unfair spikes and challenge that plagued the first 2 Crashes, Crash 3 more gracefully. For example, this boss in particular isn't even the hard part, it's his damn lion minions that run at you out of the gates. The boss himself does the same predictable moves every time. The only thing that changes are the patterns of lions that run out of the gates each time you hit him. So you learn the patterns, you beat the boss. And after you beat the boss, the game explains what to do next, just like it did after the opening cinematic. It represents a stark contrast from the very first level of the first Crash game, with almost no instruction whatsoever. I love the Crash games, but if you ask me, exchanging difficulty for a more digestible game was the perfect trade-off going from 1 and 2 to 3, and it creates a better, balanced, more fun experience as a result.
To wrap it all up, Crash is still fun after all these years. It's sold at a great price, we've got 3 games in one, and it's got a little something for everybody, whether you're looking for a hardcore arcade experience or more of a casual platforming adventure. I can finally take comfort in restoring my old identity. I've got hope that Crash can inspire a new generation of young, alienated gamers and take them in directions that the Marios and Sonics of the world couldn't. Fuck Sonic anyway! Oh, who could that be? You rang?
Hi, is this the residence of a, Chad Binder?
Actually, it's a Chrash Bidnercoot. It's a once-in-feature moniker only recently proved current. Although, I suppose I am, as I've always been.
It's nice to meet you, Chad. I'm Wayne. I'm here from BuzzFeed. I'm a level 3 quiz developer. I've got a little bit of news for you. It seems here that you recently took one of our quizzes. What video game character are you? Sorry to say that quiz, Chad, was released with an algorithm error. 0.01% of our participants did get the wrong result. And you were on our list, Chad. It says here that you took the quiz a few days ago and you got Crash Bandicoot as your result. That's incorrect. It says here that you should have been Sonic the Hedgehog. Here's the paperwork. You might want to frame it or something. I don't have a frame personally. Like I said, I'm only a level 3 quiz developer, but well, I'd like to apologize on behalf of BuzzFeed for our error. We hope it hasn't generated any ill will towards our website. I encourage you to take another quiz as soon as you're feeling ready. Okay.
Well, I'm, Sonic. Turns out that I'm Sonic. And I've got a lot of vodka today.
I never even played the original games.
Whoa!
Oh, hey. Thanks for stopping by. Here you go. Oh, man. If you like tonight's video, you can check out more. Good enough entertainment. And hey, maybe you don't want to watch it. They got podcasts too. Just make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We love it. Bye.